Hey, what's up, Starbreach gamers? Elijah Kellogg here, author and creator of the game. Just wanted to check in with you guys, make a quick video that's going to be focusing on the Errata and FAQ sheet that's about to come out in about 48 hours or so. Before I say anything else, just wanted to say a huge thank you to you guys for supporting the game. As of the last 30 days, we've had almost 8,000 unique visits on our website. Multiple hundreds of downloads of the free PDF every week or so, and we also are just continuing to grow in sales of the deluxe PDF, and of course, as you guys know, the softcover Kickstarter was a huge success. So we're very thankful, myself, Chris at Slow Death Games, for supporting our game and being a part of the family, Starbreach family. Also, before I continue, just want to make a few apologies. I live in what is basically a very poor town in a somewhat second world country. And so I apologize if this video is not great. I apologize for the vertical video. I know that's annoying, but you know, it's more comfortable to shoot it on a phone this way. So let's get started. Some of you guys are brand new to the Starbreach universe, and so we look super polished now. We look like we know what we're doing now, which is cool. However, that wasn't the case. When I wrote the game, the first iteration of the game years ago, about 2.5 years ago or so now, it was rough and it wasn't great. I was doing it as a passion project. I just moved to the other side of the world, an area of the world where not a lot of people play tabletop games. They don't even really play board games. And so coming out of a big tabletop scene, I really kind of missed playing, and so I turned to rules as a way to have an outlet. And so what began as first a squad level skirmisher game for World War II games, which is still available, NCO, eventually evolved into what was a game called Starfall. And Starfall was a sci-fi iteration of a squad-based kind of sci-fi skirmisher at the time, and it was actually kind of filling a void. There was options out there, but many of those options were already obsolete or out of date. At the time, some of the bigger companies weren't focused on sci-fi skirmishing at all. They were actually still pushing their big army games. They had sci-fi skirmishers in their back catalog, but it wasn't really a big deal at the time. So I was writing at a time too where I felt like there was a need. Of course, shortly after I released it, a few of the companies immediately announced that they were doing these like big sci-fi skirmish release games, and of course it's like timing. But it ended up being still pretty good, and over time, over the past couple of years, we've continued to grow and to what's become a really healthy fan base, a group of players, a good community of guys that all around the world are enjoying the game, guys and gals, I should say. And so we appreciate you guys playing, and many of you already know that this rule set has gone through multiple revisions. It's been around for a long time, but some of you may not know that. The rule set, as you found on our website, starbreach.com, is completely free. We have a free PDF format. We have a deluxe paid format. We have the hardcover limited edition that sold out last December, and then we also have the softcover that's going kind of worldwide retail. We've got 4 different formats, and each one of those formats kind of has a little bit of a story. So I wanted to share that story a little bit before talking about the Errata and the FAQ, because I think that's important to understanding why the FAQ Errata is going to look the way that it does, and why it's going to have the things that it does inside of it. So let's look at that. So when I first made the game, it was a free PDF on a website domain that I had purchased and was upkeeping myself. The game grew, and as it was growing, I had players consistently asking me if I would put out kind of a hard copy version of the game. Initially, I was resistant to that idea, largely because I thought it would be kind of undercutting the whole premise of why I put out a free game. And I also was a little bit, at the time, nervous too that it wasn't really that great of a game. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was still learning lots. We were going through multiple revisions of the game. So I felt like free was the way to go. But I was convinced by one of our players in a long chat. He made a great argument saying that, you know, we're constantly as gamers buying games because of the hype. We pay the money, and then we play it and it's good, or maybe it's just okay. But really we're playing it because we've invested in it, because we bought the rules, and versus a guy who brings like a free rule set to the table, some random website on the dark web, downloads this rule set. There's not as much of an inclination to play. And so his argument, which was a good argument, was, kind of where your money is, there your heart will follow. And that was a good point. And so I decided to have a nicer paid-for option. It would be like a deluxe PDF that'd be available online, and then a hard copy. And I wasn't planning at the time to do any official publication. I was just going to self-publish it, put it out there. I was going to kickstart it. I do live overseas, but I had a small amount of time where I was going to be in the United States, so it was going to work out so that I could do that. And so when I arrived in the States, I started going to conventions and demoing the game, and that was actually the first time that I ran into Chris from Slow Death Games. Was at one of the conventions in LA, and it was a great first interaction. He didn't even tell me he was, a game publisher or anything when he first sat down to play. He just wanted to try it out, and then when he tried it and he loved it, and that's what he told me, that he worked with Slow Death Games and this company that he made, and that he was really excited about the game. He really liked it, and that if I had any questions, I could contact him. And so I set out to put out the game in a deluxe PDF format and in a hardcover format. I had hired artists and a graphic designer to kind of move everything from the free PDF over to the, to these nicer formats, paid formats, and it was just an awesome process. The only problem was that I did lose my graphic artist, who was kind of building the layout of the book, very late in the game, about a month out from me wanting to put it out. Well, really less than that. And it was okay, it's fine, he had his own personal reasons, but it was definitely I was left kind of with a bit of a hot mess, and didn't have much time left, didn't know what to do. I wanted to launch the Kickstarter. I launched the Kickstarter anyway. I kind of fudged the Kickstarter. I didn't really know what I was doing. I had to cancel that, and it was just kind of a big, what am I going to do with this thing? And Slow Death Games actually came to the rescue. Chris contacted me and said, hey, you know what? I've got an artist. We got a great team. We can help you out, make some transitions, get this book out. You can still definitely put the PDF now, which was at the time December 2019. You can put it out. Not free PDF, the paid PDF out, and then you can put out you can flash fund, from your website like a hardcover. But we would love, as a game company in 2020, to put out the softcover edition of the rules for retail. And that was really amazing that he approached me and wanted to do that. And part of that came with, having a team that would help finish kind of what was started when it came to the deluxe version of the rules. In doing that, we did an amazing job in putting out this beautiful book that's now available for all players to use. It's the deluxe formats, right? The deluxe PDF. We put out the hardcover. I signed 60 copies. They're out in the open. They're sold out. And then we have the softcover that we just recently kickstarted. Well, as the hype was building, we of course were growing exponentially. We went from, a few dozen players, once a week or so, downloading the rule set, to hundreds of players downloading the rule set every week, to what became thousands of players visiting the website within a 30-day period of time and downloading. And as the Kickstarter was going, things were happening and people were looking at this rule set, which is really awesome, because what that does is that means we had more eyes on the project that previously we didn't really have anyone looking at except for a few guys. And so what that did was two things. First of all, it really put a lot of lists and a lot of builds and different strategies and things into action multiple times, not just like a few times, but like multiple dozens of times. And we began to see some things that were a little imbalanced here and there, things that we felt were, a little skewed one way or the other. Nothing has ever come up that's horrifically OP, but certainly things that we felt like, we want to balance that out. The second thing, though, that we began to notice that we were not aware of previously was that there were a number of discrepancies between the free PDF version, which is available online on our website for free, and then all the paid formats, because all the paid formats share the same file. The deluxe PDF, the hardcover, and the softcover, all the same file. So we began to notice that there was a discrepancy between the paid formats and the free PDF, and the free PDF actually is what has a lot of the correct warband stats and special rules, like little wordings here and there that make it, that were the most up to date. And when players started to realize that there were some discrepancies, not too many, but enough to make note of, I began to look, and what we found out was that in that transition of the graphic design work, we had basically lost a whole update, text update. And so we were working, where the free PDF was kind of most up to date, rules were good, everything's good, stats were fine for the most part. It was the paid for versions that were quite behind and had some stat lines and different things that were out of date. This is, of course, very unfortunate news, and I totally get that, for those who, paid for those formats, especially those who backed the Kickstarter for the softcover, because that's already been done and it's in print, it's happening, and now we're, seeing these discrepancies. And so, few comments on that. First of all, of course, we're sorry. I wish we could be more scrupulous as a team of a few guys and have caught these things early on, but the reality is it just takes more eyes on the project to recognize that there's inconsistencies. And honestly, I feel like that's human. I feel like that's what happens with first editions of everything. Like if I didn't buy a rule book or I took a rule book back because I found there was a few discrepancies in it, I feel like I would send every tabletop rule book back to the store, because at the end of the day, right, there's going to be issues. Even the big guys, their rule books, their codexes, they're like, even in the FAQs, and then the FAQ for the FAQ, and the errata for the errata. I mean, it's common, so this thing's going to happen. So we are sorry, but we hope that you guys understand we're a small team of guys, and this kind of stuff happens. The second thing that we want to comment on too is the formats are quite cheap. There's not really it's not really too bad price wise one way or the other. If you feel like you see these discrepancies in the upcoming errata and you feel gypped, or you feel like, wow, this is I don't know, too many for me to feel like I shouldn't have paid for this. We appreciate your support, and the $10 you spent on the PDF or the $15 you spent on the softcover, we appreciate that, because what we're going to do with that is actually something I'm really excited to talk about right now, which is push the game forward further. A few of those things is we're going to be we now get to begin to really flesh out a solo and co-op version of the game. It's kind of a missions-based version of the game. Where players will play as a team of hunters together, and they'll be playing against some sort of existential threat, some big monster or some, troop of mechs or a troop of other hunters, different things like that, and they can build scenarios around the game. And that rule set will also be free and have a small paid-for version as well to help support. And then also down the line, we hope to eventually maybe even move into what could eventually be more of like a small platoon level kind of Star Breach game, where it's kind of old school, like mini wargaming on the table back in the day, when it was like a few groups of troops, a leader, and then like a vehicle or like a special monster or something like that. Not this like crazy apocalypse level action, but something that was still manageable platoon level. And so we may be looking forward to the future to do that. And I'm also working on something else that I think will be pretty cool, but I don't get to chat about just yet. So anyways, your support matters to us, and when you pay for these editions, another player put it in a really good way. You never buy the first edition because you think it's the perfect rule set. You kind of buy it just to have it, right? So thankfully, we have a great rule set. The first edition is awesome. And it's going to be standing for a long time. So this errata FAQ, what's the plan with this? What you're going to see is the FAQ section. Then you're going to see all formats, some basic things that we changed just for clarity and balance sake. and then what you're going to see is a free PDF section, things that that the free PDF is a little wrong on. Not many of those. And then you're going to see a section for all the paid formats and all the things that need to change in the paid formats. So this errata is going to be out and available on our website within 48 hours for free. And it's going to be there for, I would say, at least 5 or 6 months. So we're going to let it sit. We're going to let players play with it, enjoy it, find other ways to break our game, and then when we come back to it, what I think I'll do long term is we will move the free PDF to kind of more of a living document that will be a living live rules updates document that will eventually transcend kind of a imprint version, but then what will eventually lead to like an actual imprint version years from now, 3 or 4 or 6, whatever, who knows. Years from now for like a second edition that will be really polished and really perfected, of course with new updates from, who knows in the future. So anyways, that's kind of the plan right now. What we're working with, we're keeping the errata for all formats for now. It makes it easier, it helps players all go to the same source. It also helps players see what has changed in the different formats, and then eventually we'll move to that like free PDF format that will have all the errata integrated into it. So yeah, we appreciate you guys. Again, can't say that enough. Thank you guys so much for watching this rather long video, but I appreciate you guys checking in and seeing kind of what we're doing with the FAQ and errata. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please make sure you go and download it. Within the next 48 hours it should be available. And yeah, keep playing Starbreach. Tell all your friends. Let's keep growing the community. I think it's a really, really great game that has a lot of potential. And I want you to hear this from the creator. You guys giving me feedback, you guys writing to me, and us interacting, I think is what makes Starbreach also a little bit unique in that we're able to evolve the game together and see it grow, see it become something really great. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for playing, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.